Good morning. This is Bill Blatchford with another session of Mornings with Bill. This morning I'd like to share with you a couple thoughts I had. I recently ran across an article on 15 things to do to make yourself happy. And I read through this and boy, they just struck home. And one of them was giving up complaining. You know, my wife and I recently took a trip. As a matter of fact, we went to Italy celebrating my wife's birthday, and I won't share with you which birthday, but it's very close to mine. We did all kinds of fun things, learned how to make gelato, etc. But every time I travel, I'm always amazed at people and how they respond, and yet I always say, wait a minute, it's a lot like what goes on in a dental office. You know, one evening we were headed out of Washington, D.C. to fly out. We were all on board this big 320 Airbus, 300 people on board, backed away from the gate. The plane is making this god-awful noise. If you know anything about mechanics at all, you know there's metal rubbing against metal. It doesn't sound good. Carolyn said it sounds like he forgot to put in the clutch when he put it in reverse. That's exactly what it sounded like. Well, as you know, airplanes don't have a reverse, but there was something definitely wrong with this aircraft. So after taxiing out, back to the gate, an hour later, after several mechanics had worked on the plane, we taxied out again. Same noise, exactly. The captain came on the intercom and said, we're going back to the gate. This time we're going to try and move some luggage. Well, they fooled around for another hour or so, backed up for the third time, exactly the same noise. Now this plane was supposed to leave at 8:30, it's now midnight. Guess what? As far as I'm concerned, and some of you know I've been a pilot for 45 years, if an airplane breaks on the ground, it's not a problem. It's when they break in the air you have a problem. So 300 people are turned back to the counter, back to the ticket agents to figure out what to do with 300 people. It's now 1 o'clock in the morning. Sure, it was an inconvenience, but it's really nothing. And just to watch people. Some were happy and just, you know, everything's going to be fine. I always kind of take on the attitude when I travel, it's all going to be good. I'm on vacation. What difference does it make? They had to find 300 people, hotel rooms, taxi cabs. They're working 3 hours past the time they were supposed to go home. These people were doing the best job they could. And it certainly wasn't their fault that the airplane broke. And yet it was discouraging to watch as people complained about this. And I think, wait a minute. Here's a captain who made a great decision to leave us on the ground in Washington, D.C. We could have been over the mid-Atlantic when they discovered the problem, and then it could have been a problem. So my thing is this, give up the right to complain. What difference does it make, and how much good does complaining ever solve? Now take a look at your practice. You have patients in your practice that sometimes, well, they're not the greatest patients. You don't get along with them all that great. But what does complaining to your team do about it? What does complaining to your wife when you go home about your team, or team members complaining about the doctor? What does that accomplish? Absolutely nothing. Think about this and try to apply it. You can tweet me at Dr. Blatchford.